What's up guys, and welcome to the channel. My name is Micah, and today we're going to be installing an exhaust on our Vstar 650. So this is a super cool cruiser. I've always liked these things, but it's extremely quiet from the factory with these guys here. So I got on eBay and I purchased the cheapest no-name exhaust I could for our motorcycle. So all said and done, this exhaust was $188. They have it in two different finishes, a black finish and a chrome finish. And since our bike is kind of blacked out, I figured we'd go for the black finish exhaust. So in this video, we are going to remove the factory headers and mufflers, and then we're gonna install this new exhaust that we got. Now this process is gonna be the same and apply to every year Vstar XVS 650 and the classic and custom trims. I am super excited to give this motor a little volume, so without further ado, let's rip into it. So I guess first off here, we'll kind of see what the heck we got here. We'll see what $180 gets ya from eBay for an exhaust for this bike. And we get all kinds of Chinese lettering on there. I have no idea whatsoever what that means. Under all the plastic, this exhaust is in like a potato sack or rice bag. It almost looks like a tarp around it. All right, the first layer is off. Sweet. Well, that looks pretty cool. So these pipes do have a removable decibel killer, kind of this baffle that's in the rear there. So I kind of like that that's a chrome tip and then the rest of the pipe is just black. Looks pretty slick. So that is going to be our rear pipe there. And then the front one is a little bit longer up here. So when they're next to each other, it should have a really nice slash cut look to it. Voila. And there is the front pipe for the bike. So each of your headers comes up. They each have two bolts that kind of mount those header pipes to the engine. Then the muffler parts themselves each have a little clamp here that you can remove them. But this header has a cross-section part that connects to the lower muffler on your front exhaust pipe. And then there's a bracket behind these that comes back and it mounts to each of the mufflers, kind of supporting those. So the way that we're gonna remove this is I'm going to remove the back header and muffler here as it's attached to this front muffler. So our front muffler is gonna come off with our rear header and rear muffler, and once that's off, then I will remove the front header. So let's see if it works. First, I'm gonna loosen the clamp that's on our front muffler here. So just right under here, there's gonna be a 10mm bolt. That feels good. So now I'm gonna go about loosening up the rear header. And that rear header, the two bolts in that, it's gonna be a size 6 hex key. So I'm just gonna put a 6 hex key on a ratchet here and see if that's enough to break it loose. It was, and the second one. So now that collar that holds the header on, it's just totally loose on there. That's what we want. Well, and so as you're looking at your exhaust, if you kind of come behind it, you'll see this bracket here that kind of runs behind and it supports these mufflers. So there's a spot here we can probably get down and see. There's a nut, or a bolt rather, right here. It looks like a 12mm, so I'm gonna loosen that one up. And then underneath, there's gonna be another one. I might need to use a wrench for that second one there, just to slip behind that muffler. Let's see, there we go, busted loose, just like I thought it would. All right, so the top mounting bolt is loosened up. It's just barely sitting in there, so now I'll kind of reach under and get to that bottom one with just a 12mm wrench. Oh, man, that was on there, but we got it loose. Just not a ton of room between that bolt head and then your muffler, so you just kind of need to do a quarter turn at a time. All right, so everything should be loosened up. Our clamp is loosened up, our header, and then our bracket holding these. So everything you see here should just kind of come off in one piece Voila! And we barely nicked our plastic cover, so there's just a little pin mark in that now. Try not to do that when you do it. We'll just set this to the side for now. Now for the front header here, if we just kind of come in down below, there's just gonna be 2 nuts on 2 studs. There's one on either side. You can kind of clearly see that one on the right there. So we're just gonna loosen each of those up on both sides, and then our front header here should just come right out of there. Wasn't on too difficult at all. Now both of our nuts are off, so we'll see if we can't just slip that header out of there. Well, and so it looks like, you know, I've got the header loose, but it looks like I need to just loosen up and kind of pull off that rear brake peg. So that's a size 14. I bet if I just take these bolts out here, I can let that just hang down loose. And then you just kind of weasel her out. Ta-da! So that wasn't bad at all. I suppose I'll just leave our right peg and rear brake just disconnected for now, just to see if we need that clearance to get on our aftermarket header. All right, and it looks like we'll be reusing our nuts that we pulled off. Have to experiment a little bit, see what angle is gonna work the best. Well, and so I think I see how this needs to slip in here, but I just need a little bit more clearance right here so I don't scuff or scratch or have to force this. So I'm gonna pull this little cover off here. I think just that 1/2 inch of clearance is gonna give me enough room here that I can slip this on. And this is just a cover. No oil is gonna come out of your bike when you just remove this. Now let's see if my suspicions were correct here. All right, so you're gonna have your new header straight up, even a little bit past vertical here. So we slip the nose of that and that collar in there, and then we kind of line that up with that port on the cylinder, and then we just start lowering that exhaust as we find the spot. So now, as it's about at this point, kind of at an angle here, I'll move my leg so you can see a little bit better. I'm gonna line up that collar with the studs that come out of our cylinder here. We're gonna have to raise our pipe back up because there's a certain point here where you have to put those nuts on that collar, and the point's about right here. So we'll slip our nuts back on here, if I can get them. Add a few threads here to my one nut. Looks about right. All right, so the front exhaust pipe is on. That's a fiasco, and it's kind of just, you really need to kind of wiggle and turn and twist up and find exactly the way that can go in there, but it's on, so we'll call that good. So now we're gonna move and install the rear pipe. So for the rear pipe, this one's gonna be a lot more straightforward. So you really just put it right in here and line up that collar here and put your bolts back in there. All right, so we've got the pipes secured. The pipes are on. They look pretty good for what they are. And then on the rear, you'll see on the back of these 2 pipes, there's 2 studs. I'll give you a better look there. So those 2 studs, we're gonna put a bracket on those. And this kit comes with 2 different brackets, I suppose for different mounting spots, kind of your setup, whatever you wanted to do. Slipped over those studs, perfect. So I'm just gonna start my nuts here on those, and it'll kind of hold those pipes together and hold them solid. I don't think we'll need any mount outside of that. You know, the pipes are pretty light with them being just a drag pipe. You know, there's no sort of muffler or anything. I mean, these 2 pipes together maybe weigh 5 pounds. They're pretty light. All right, so the new pipes are on. Everything is good to go. We put that little cover, we put our foot peg and brake back on, and check those things out. So they look super slick. So we do have those chrome tips, so that's gonna be those removable baffles. You'll see a little bolt under each of those. So removing those bolts will allow you to pull your baffles out of the pipes. So now is the moment of truth. Here's a sound clip of our bike with just the stock exhaust. And now let's see what it sounds like with our new exhaust, but with the baffles on both of our pipes still in. finish, the paint, you know, as that exhaust is heating up for the first time. It's definitely smoking from the front and the rear header here, so we'll see how long that lasts. Maybe this eBay exhaust is just gonna melt right before our eyes. Who knows? Alright, so now I pulled those small little bolts out of our baffles, so with a rag around my needle nose, I'm just gonna grab onto those baffles, and I think I should be able to slip them out. Yep, I certainly can. So there is one. Grab the other one, and there we go. So now I'll just set those aside. Yep, those are piping hot. I shouldn't have done that. And we'll see what it sounds like now. Holy cow, the bike sounds awesome. You know, it's really loud with those decibel killers out, but I do like it. That's just that full raw sound that I wanted. But I like the look of the pipes with those decibel killers in, with that little silver tip on those slash cut black pipes. So what I did here was just take a saw and I cut the decibel killer part off of the silver tip. So now that's just straight through. So I'm gonna put those silver tips back in the pipes and put those little bolts back in so that we'll have our straight through pipes with no decibel killer, but then we'll still have those silver tips. Well, and there we are. The silver tips are on, so it's straight through, no decibel killers. That is just so awesome, guys. Those pipes look great. Well, and I think that's about gonna wrap it up for us, guys. So I'll definitely put a link to these pipes in the description. Like I said, they come in 2 different colors, the black like we got, and then there's also like a stainless, a chrome type finish. So depending on what color your bike is, you know, what trim you have, the classic or the custom, you know, it's good to have a couple options there. But yeah, $188 eBay no-name Chinese exhaust for the Vstar 650. 5 stars. You know, the install was a little bit fluky, I don't lie. You know, it's not like it came with any instructions or anything like that. So, you know, if you guys get them and install them, let us all know in the comments if you find a better way to kind of hook that front header in. You know, it's just kind of a guessing game. It's kind of a fiasco of getting that at the right angle and getting that around and then that collar on there. But it all went together just fine. It looks the part, it sounds the part. We got exactly what we were looking for on a budget. So like the video if this helped you out, subscribe if you guys want to see more, and until next time, have a wonderful night, guys.